righty. Where is this? Okay. All right. I think we are almost ready to roll. It's stolen book. Guitar. Right. Ready to roll. Okay. Oh, gotta tune it. Wait a second. Satsanga Deo ai mare Oshachi Sangera say Jaya Satanga Deo e amare Sheji Sangera say Ekaki amara Amara, Koibo, Adina, Tumi Kripakore, Shaka Venudia, Deha Krishna Namadane. Tumi Kripakore, Shaka Venudia, Deha Krishna Namadane. Krishna said, Omara, Krishna did borrow, Omara Shakati Ache. Krishna said, Omara, Krishna did borrow, Omara Shakati Ache. Kangala Krishna Krishna Bole Gaita Bache Bache Amito Kangala Krishna Krishna Bole Gaita Bache Vaisnava Thakur Narasaga Eda Segunaguri Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad. Paramahamsa Paravidikacharya, also Tella Satashi Shimad, Divine Grace Sabaya, Chatanama, Goswami Marshila Prabhupada Kijai, Iskan, Founder Acharya, Shila Prabhupada Kijai, Anantakoti, Vaishnava Vrinda Kijai, Namacharya Shilahila Thakur Kijai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shitwaita Gadadha Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Kijai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kijai Vrindavanam Kijai Mathuranam Kijai Jagannath Swami Kijai Yamunamai Kijai Srimati Lasiri Kijai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Kijai Gaur Premananda Hari Haribol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nava Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarni. So let's read the translation of this very, very nice Vaishnava poem written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All right. O Venerable Vaishnava, Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply running behind you shouting, Krishna, Krishna. Okay. So now we'll continue with our study of the Jaiva Dharma. How about that? Isn't that exciting? And we are reading in the Jaiva Dharma about the nature of Krishna. So let's start reading. So Om Gana Timirandasha Gananjana Shlakya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So let's share the screen. How about that? All right, we are sharing the screen now. And we're going to put the chat window up to my right so I can see it in case someone has a heart attack. Well, and I can send the ambulance after them. So, okay. So we're talking about Krishna's form. Okay. And Krishna's abode being spiritual. Krishna has, as described in the Jaiva Dharma, Krishna has a medium-sized form, because that depends on your perspective. And although he has a medium-sized form, he's also everything is simultaneously, and that's a Chincha Beta Beta Tattva. Okay. So now we're going to hear about Krishna's abode. Abode means where he lives. Krishna's abode of Vraja, that is a predominant spiritual world, is called Brahmapura in the Chandogya Upanishad, 8th chapter. It is purely spiritual in nature. Actually, I just want to be really specific. I was asked the question the other day, not on Zoom, but by someone who's been watching on Zoom, and they asked the question about Brahma, or Brahman, or whatever. Or, yeah. Brahman, or whatever, Brahma. So, anyway, so the question is that sometimes the abode of Lord Brahma is, well, not something, it's always in the material world, the abode of Lord Brahma. But Brahmapura, or place of Brahma, can also be the spiritual world too, depending on the depending on the context. You know, that's all. Like when you use the word Brahman, it can refer to the impersonal Brahman or the supreme Brahman, Krishna. Anyway, so words depend on context. That's an important concept. So anyway, so in the spiritual world, which is Krishna's abode, described in the Chandogya Upanishad, it has spiritual variety, spiritual manifestation, spiritual places, spiritual animals, spiritual rivers and trees, spiritual sky, spiritual sun, spiritual moon, and spiritual stars. There's not even a drop of material faults there at all. What does it mean that all these things are spiritual? It means they're all conscious, because the opposite of spiritual is unconscious. Material means unconscious. Spiritual means fully conscious, full of blessed knowledge. So, the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky, the trees, the animals, the rivers, the whatever places, all are conscious. Not only conscious, they are fully conscious. So that's what it means. It is full of spiritual joy. You are in Mayapur in Navadvip, which is also the spiritual Dhamma. So this is, of course, Rajanath speaking to the Babaji. But sitting upon the net of matter made of Maya, you do not touch its spiritual nature. Ooh. So even though someone is in Mayapur, Navadvip, because their consciousness is on the net of matter made of Maya, or illusion, we do not touch its spiritual nature. Oh my God. If your spiritual nature rises by the mercy of a devotee, you will see the spiritual place. Your residence in Braja will be accomplished. Where did you learn that a medium-sized form must have material faults and qualities? The glories of the medium-sized form is unattainable as a result of bad impressions of intelligence restricted by matter. So in other words, Krishna, what they're describing is Krishna has a medium-sized form. He's not too tall, he's not too short, he's not too wide, and he's not too thin. So medium, right? Just like someone's really thin, we say, oh, you look like you're sick. And if someone's really big, we say, you look like you're sick. So that's medium size, you say, oh, you look healthy. Okay? So Krishna looks healthy as a medium-sized form. And the glories of that form, medium-sized means in relationship to us. Okay? Just regular. He's not as tall as a football player. So, and he's not undersized. So anyway, so the glories of that Krishna's form is unattainable. In other words, you can't understand it because of bad impressions in your intelligence. In other words, bad experiences in this material world. And those experiences, I'm just rephrasing what's been spoken here, written here. They're covered by matter. Brajanath said, Radha and Krishna's beauty and forms, their paraphernalia, for pastimes, their associates, houses, bowers means like in the bushes, like enclosed area in the bushes, of Radha and Krishna are all spiritual. No intelligent person can doubt this. But why do the forms, dhammas, and pastimes manifest at a certain time in a certain place? Wow, good question. So why do Krishna's pastimes, which we understood manifest over 5,000 years ago, at a certain time? At least the manifest pastimes. Of course, the aprakata, unmanifest pastimes, are happening even right now. But unmanifest means we don't see them. So why do they manifest at a certain time, at a certain place? I mean, why not here in America? Well, in the temples they do. But why not at Disneyland? Why don't the forms, dhammas, and pastimes manifest at Disney World? Good question. And the reason they don't manifest at Disney World is because Disney World is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And they do manifest at Disney World in terms of their reflection. So if you look at Disney World, you can get an indication of what the spiritual world is like. Yes. So everyone should go to Disney World to try to understand what the spiritual world is like. You just take the opposite. Disney World is what? Boring. And Krishna's pastimes are exciting. The opposite. What I mean by boring, have you ever gone there? You wait online for hours and hours and hours. And then finally you go on this ride for 5 minutes, and it just really wasn't all you thought it would be. But the expectation of having a nice time was what you really worked for. And at the end of the day, you spend $1,000 for your family. That's a perverted reflection. So you serve Krishna, you don't spend any money. Of course, you should give something to Krishna if you have the money. And you have a good time from the beginning to the end. Babaji said it's not as astonishing that the impossible becomes possible for Krishna, endowed with all Shakti's energies. Krishna can do the amazing thing. He is full of pastimes, independent, endowed with all Shakti's energies. If he desires, he can manifest his form with his Dham in the material world. What doubt is there about it? So in other words, Krishna decides to do it in that way. You may say, why does Krishna decide to do it? Because he decides. Let him make his own decisions. What are you going to control Krishna now? He makes his own decisions. He's Swarat. He's independent. You may not like his decisions, but he does it. And that's because he wants to. Okay, Rajana said, my doubt is this. When the Lord desires, his form, which is self-manifesting, will manifest. That may appear to be like a interesting statement. Self-manifesting will manifest. In other words, Krishna manifests himself when he wants to manifest, and he manifests when he wants to. God. However, those who see this manifestation see the Dham as a portion of the material world. They see his form as a material form, and they see his pastimes as material activities. What is the reason for this? If Krishna mercifully reveals his pastimes to you, why cannot all the people in the world see the pastimes with the spiritual qualities? So, people see Krishna, they read about Krishna's pastimes, they think it's all material. But Krishna has to reveal that. So why doesn't everybody see like that? That's a good question. And the Babaji answers that question. Affection for his devotees is one of many Krishna's spiritual qualities. Bhaktavatsal. He is the pleaser of the devotees. Giving to devotees the result of the Ladini Shakti, he gives to the devotees the power to see his manifestation with their spiritual qualities. So what does that mean? The Ladini Shakti is manifest as Srimati Radharani. But it's the serving potency of the Lord. Like when we say Radha Krishna, we're saying, Krishna, let me serve you. What does Hare Krishna mean? Engage me, my dear Radharani, energy of the Lord, Shakti, Adi Shakti of the Lord. Please engage me and serve us. Don't ask what Krishna could do for you, but you ask what you can do for Krishna. Then you'll see the power, you'll get the power to see Krishna's manifestation with the spiritual qualities. His pastimes are manifest to the devotees with their full spiritual potency. So who is a devotee? Are we devotees? Maybe not. A devotee is someone who is devotado. Anyway, a little Spanish for you. Someone who is devoted. Are we devoted? Maybe a little. Mixed. But are we more devoted to our tongue? Yes. Wrong. That's our problem. The non-devotees, like ears, eyes, and other senses, are however covered by Maya. So, due to offenses. And so our senses are covered by Maya. It's like a cataract. Just like I just spoke to someone that had cataract surgery. And he said, oh, I could see colors for the first time. But the colors were there already. You understand? The colors were there already. The brilliant colors. That was also the same response I got, or I had, when I had my cataract surgery years and years and years ago. I said, wow, the world was full of different brilliant colors. It's interesting when you it's also interesting insofar as when a devotee comes to Krishna consciousness, there's the wow factor, and after a while you just tend to take it for granted. Unfortunately. Just like when I got my cataract surgeries. Wow, look at the world, look how brilliant Krishna's dress is. Wow, wow, wow. And now it's just passe, as they say. So anyway, so non-devotees, senses, and we may be non-devotees. Some of us may be non-devotees. In other words, we're not devoted. Ooh. A devotee is not like a dhoti wearing person or a tilak wearing person or a neck bead wearing person. A devotee is someone who is devoted regardless of how they dress. I mean, Shukadeva Goswami, he dressed with nothing. Nothing, nada. And he was the greatest devotee. Because it doesn't excuse you running around naked either. So non-devotees' ears, eyes, and senses are covered by Maya due to offenses. And they want to imitate the offenses, they want to see Krishna, imitate Krishna. And thus cannot see the difference between the Lord's pastimes and human actions. Yep, they don't want to see the difference, so therefore Krishna doesn't give them the intelligence or the vision or whatever. Brajanath said, then does Krishna not show himself to ordinary jivas out of mercy? So that's a good question. So why isn't Krishna more merciful and just show himself to everybody? Well, guess what? There'd be a problem. Nobody would appreciate, or everybody wouldn't appreciate. Babati said, his appearance in the world gives it auspiciousness. The devotees see the pastimes of the avatar as pure spiritual pastimes. The non-devotees, even if they see him mixed with matter, develop sukriti by the power of form when they see it. And that's called the gyata sukriti. Because they're not knowing what they're actually seeing, but still they're getting sukriti, pious or devotional credit. When this sukriti accumulates, after some time, they get credit. You get enough credits, you're ready to graduate. They develop qualification in the form of faith in pure Krishna bhakti. In this way, by the appearance of the avatar, the jivas of the universe attain benefit. In other words, when Krishna appears, everybody's benefited, even those who don't know he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just think he's an ordinary person. Still, they're benefited just by his presence on the planet, just by the fact his feet are walking on the surface of the globe. Just that and being in the world at the same time. Just like, one example is, just like our Krishna conscious movement is benefiting the whole world, even in places where they don't know about the Krishna consciousness movement. This Sankirtan, what is it? Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu or Janarmangalanam Angasam Mahatamapi Kauravya Vijakantika Nishkritam. This Sankirtan benefits everyone in the world. It is the most auspicious activity and best prayaschitta. Here, Brajanath said, why do the Vedas not describe Krishna's pastimes fully? Now here he's referring to when he's saying Vedas, in this context it means the Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva Veda, along with the Upanishads. Although, technically speaking, the histories like Mahabharata and Ramayana and Vedanta Sutra and the Bhagavatam and other Puranas, they are also part of the Vedic group. But in this particular context, it means the Vedas. So Babaji said the Vedas repeatedly sing the pastimes of Krishna. In some places, directly, Mukhya Vritti. In some places, they sing secondarily, Gona Vritti. The Mukhya Vritti is literal Abhida Vritti. Thus, there are direct statements about the eternal nature of rasa, about the service to Krishna according to individual rasas by liberated jivas. Rasa means taste the relationship. In the concluding portion of the Chandogya Upanishad, 8.13.1, which states, Shamash Javalam Prabhadye, I surrender to the Lord, who is blackish in complexion. The secondary usage is called Lakshana Vritti, it's indirect, in the conversation between Yajnavalkya, Gargi, and Maitreyi. Wow. It's interesting. Gargi is a lady, obviously. Maitreyi is a lady, too. Wow. It's probably the daughter of Maitreya. Just like Gargi is the daughter of Garga Muni. Interesting. And it's interesting, these ladies are some of the main speakers in the Upanishads. So when they say, well, what about ladies' position? Well, ladies have a lot of interesting spiritual positions as preceptors or preceptinis in the Vedic literatures. In this conversation, Krishna's qualities are first described by Lakshana indirectly, but finally by direct meaning the excellence of describing Krishna is expressed. Some places the Vedas take shelter of direct expression and indicate the eternal pastimes of Bhagavan. In many places the Vedas take support of indirect expression and describe the glories of Paramatma and Brahman. Actually, the Vedas' declaration is to describe Krishna, so indirect would be God is in everyone's heart. It's a very indirect description. And Brahman would be, Sarva Kal Vidam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. Yeah, that's true. But there's different varieties of Brahman. Okay? So Brajanath says, there's no doubt that Bhagavan, that's Krishna, is the highest tattva. But what is the real position of Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Surya, Ganesh, and other devatas, that's demigods, who are to be worshipped? The Brahmanas believe that Shiva is the highest spiritual tattva, Brahma, tattva. I have been born in such a family, and I've heard and spoken this from childhood. Please tell me the truth. Babaji said, please hear about the difference between the ordinary jivas, worshipable devatas, and Bhagavan. Ordinary jivas, us, worshipable devatas is the demigods, and Bhagavan is God, Krishna. In discussing Krishna's qualities, many qualities are described. Dun, 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 dun. This is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ayam Nita Suram Yanga Sarva Salakshanan Vita Ruchiras Tejasa Yukto Valiyan Vayasanvita. The hero Krishna has beautiful limbs, has all auspicious bodily features, is pleasing to behold, possesses vitality, is strong, and is endowed with ideal age. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.23. Vivida Bhuta Vasavit Sachavakya Priyam Vada Vavatuka Supandityo Buddhimang Pratibhanvita. He knows a variety of astonishing languages, is truthful, speaks in a pleasing manner, is eloquent, learned, intelligent, and filled with new ideas. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.24. That's Krishna. That's our little Krishna, or medium-sized Krishna. Vidagdash Chataro Daksha Kritangyastu Dhrita Vrita Deshakala Sapatratya Shastra Chakshu Shuchir Vashi. He is aesthetic. Huh. That's an interesting word. Cultured. He knows how to accept cultured things. That's Krishna. Clever, skillful, and grateful. He keeps vows, is knowledgeable of time, place, and person, sees through the eyes of scripture, is pure and sense controlled. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu again, 2:125. Different qualities of Krishna. Stirodantakshama shilo gambhiro dritimansa vadanyo dharmika sura karano manya manakrit. He is persevering, patient, tolerant, inscrutable. It means you can't understand him. Steadfast, uniform, generous, virtuous, heroic, compassionate, and respectful to persons worthy of respect. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:126. Wow. Dakshino Vignahi Hriman Sharanagata Palaka Sukhi Bhakta Surit Prema Vaisha Sarva Shubhankaraha. He is compliant, modest, bashful, the protector of those who take shelter of him, happy, a friend of the devotees, controlled by love, and a benefactor of all. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:127. Patapi kirtimhan nakta lokasadu samashreha narigana manohari sarva vradya samriddhiman. He is glorious, renowned, the object of attraction for all, the shelter of the devotees, attracted to women, worshipable by all, and endowed with the greatest wealth. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:128. Varyanishvarascheti gunas tasyanu kirtata samudra hiva panchashad durvigaharami. He is the most important and the controller. These 50 qualities of Krishna which have been listed are difficult to fathom, like the ocean. Atapanchaguna yeshur amshena girishadishu. Now 5 qualities of Krishna which will also be present in Shiva and others when they are the Lord's expansions will be listed. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:137. Sada Swarupa Samprapta Sarvagyo Nitya Nutana Sachidananda Sandranga Sarvasiddhi Nishevata. He is always situated in his eternal form. He is omniscient. He is forever young. He has a body made of condensed eternity, knowledge and bliss, and he possesses all siddhis, mystic powers. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:138. So these, of course, what we're hearing here is the list of the 64 qualities of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna's original form only has the final 4, which we're going to hear. Atochante guna panchaye lakshmi shadi vartina avichincha mahachati koti brahmana vigraha avataravali bijam atari gati dayaka atmarama ganakarshat ami krishna kiladbhuta. Now will be listed the amazing qualities present in Krishna, but present also in Narayan and the Purusha avatars. That means the expansions of Krishna, they're all Vishnu Tattva. He has inconceivable great energies. He is the form which expands over tens of millions of universes. He is the source of the numerous avatars. He rewards even the enemies he kills, and he attracts the Atma Ramas. Atma Ramas are those who are self-satisfied and who don't need anything else, don't hanker for anything else, but they're happy just being. That means Atma Rama means happiness from the self or the soul. These qualities become even more astonishing in Krishna. So now we're going to hear about the 4 qualities that only God has when he manifests in his original form as Krishna. No other form of the Lord has these 4 qualities to the same degree. Sarvabhuta chamatkara lila kolola variti atulya madhura prema mandita priya mandala Tri jagan manasa kashi Murali kala kujita Asamanordva rubashri Vishmita Vishmapita charachara Lila prema priya dityam Madhuyam benu rupayo Itjasha sardaradham proktam Govindasha Chatushtayam. The 4 extraordinary qualities possessed by Govinda alone are as follows. So these are the 4 qualities that only Krishna in Vrindavan manifests. None of his other expansions, avatars, or pastimes manifest these 4 qualities. He is a wave-filled ocean of the most astonishing display of pastimes. Okay, that's number 1. Most astonishing, intimate pastimes. Wow. 2, he is surrounded by loving associates decorated with incomparably sweet prema who are ready to go to hell to please him. So he's surrounded by intimate devotees. 3, he plays sweet notes on his flute which attracts all the minds in the 3 worlds. That's great. He astonishes all moving and non-moving entities with the beauty of his form to which there's no equal or superior. His extraordinary qualities are his special pastimes. His devotees endowed with abundant prema, the sweetness of his flute and the sweetness of his form. So here, qualities, devotees, sweetness of the flute, and sweetness of his form. And he's unexcelled. Beauty. The 64 qualities that eternally manifest in the Satchitananda form of Krishna in Vrindavan, I'm adding that, completely on a pure spiritual way. The 4 last qualities appear only in Krishna, not in his expansions or vilas forms. Aside from these 4 qualities, the 60 qualities manifest completely and spiritually in the spiritual form of Narayan in Vaikuntha. 55 qualities manifest partially in Shiva and other devatas. The first 50 qualities are found in all jivas to a very small degree. Shiva, Brahma, Surya, Ganesh, and Indra, anshas of Bhagavan, like we're also anshas of Bhagavan, endowed with qualities, are special avatars called vibhutis of the Lord and have the responsibility in managing the universe. That doesn't mean that they're not jiva souls when we say they're vibhutis, but the vibhuti is an empowerment. Vibhuti actually means opulence or power of the Supreme Lord, like a Shakti. So they're imbued or given that particular Shakti. That's pretty easy to understand. So they're given it. They're given a position. Like someone has a position in the government, they have more Shakti. More Shakti means they can do certain things that you may not be able to do. They may have more authority than you have because they've been appointed. But they can also be unappointed too. As we say in America, impeach the guy. By their very nature, they are servants of Bhagavan. But by their mercy, many people have attained pure bhakti to the Lord. They are considered to be devatas to be worshipped, having a different qualification from other jivas. Worshipping them as an anga bhakti to the Lord is the conclusive rule. Now that's how you see them, as devotees. That way you can worship them. You want to worship Ganesh? Fine, as a devotee. but not as your devotee, like people worship the demigods, thinking the demigods are going to do something, and they bribe him to do something for them. I mean, how could you bribe Kuvera? He's the treasurer of the demigods. I'm not even going to try. Not even going to try to do it. But you can please Kuvera by your devotion, and he'll actually bless you with wealth. Anyway, by your devotion to Krishna, Kuvera is pleased. If you worship him separately, he will not be so pleased. You should actually understand that when they're worshiping the Guru, they're actually offering obeisances to the Guru, to Krishna simultaneously, and when they're worshiping Krishna, they're also respecting the Guru. So, Shiva, having complete bhakti to the Lord, is non-different from Bhagavat Tattva. For this reason, the Maya bodies take shelter from him as the final Brahma Tattva. So, he's not, ontologically by nature, the same as the Lord, but because he's absorbed in bhakti, worshipping him is non-different than worshipping Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what we could say. We could take shelter of Lord Shiva because he is very dear to Krishna, and you become dear to Lord Shiva. Things equal to the same thing are equal to each other. So you become dear to Lord Shiva, you're becoming dear to Krishna. And if you're becoming dear to Krishna, you're dear to Lord Shiva. Simultaneamente. Okay. Sounds like the end of the chapter to us. Chapter 14. Prameya. Now the word prameya, if you remember, means that which is to be known. So, there's several terms, and probably we'll talk about this tomorrow in class. There's pramana. Remember these terms. Just a little review for all of you. Pramana means the evidence. What do you accept as evidence? There are many types of evidence. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow in the Sunday Feast class. Many types of evidence, such as history, such as inductive evidence, such as observational evidence, and the evidence of Shruti Pramana, which means hearing from the Vedic literatures. So for us, in the material, the spiritual world, but devotees in the material world, then we accept as absolute this Shruti Pramana, given to us by Krishna's devotee. Okay? Shruti Pramana. So there's Prameya. Okay, got it? So Prameya is another word. Prameya means that which is to be known. Got it? Prameya. What is to be known? In other words, the beginning of the past chapters, Sambandha. Sambandha means the knowledge of the tattvas and the relationship between the tattvas. Abhideya means the performance of the devotional service to realize Krishna. And Prayoja means the understanding of the goal of Krishna consciousness. So that's also there. So you have Pramana, Prameya. Very important concepts. And, the Prayojana. 3 words. Pramana, Prameya, and Prayojana. Prayojana means the goal. Got it? So, Pramana, Prameya, Prayojana, and also there's Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. That means, anyway, we already described what it means. So these terms are very important to understand. So what is to be known? What do you want to know? That's Prameya. And Pramana is what do you accept as evidence, incontrovertible evidence. You can throw away circumstantial evidence. Just like in court, you reject circumstantial evidence. It's not taken into account so much. Circumstantial means it just appears to be evidentiary, but it's not, may not be evidentiary. Okay, tomorrow we'll tomorrow we're going to cover some of the things we covered in the past during the Sunday Feast lecture. I thought that would be interesting if people come to the Sunday Feast program. So now we can take questions. Perfect questions, perfect answers, hopefully. And let me allow you to unmute yourselves. Okay. Anu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji, Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Jai. Maharaj Ji, from yesterday's katha, you very graciously mentioned that when you pray to Krishna, you say, help me to serve Prabhupada Ji.
Yeah.
So Maharaj Ji, what does serving our fatherly Prabhupada Ji would practically imply?
Implies the pleasing Krishna. Because if I want to serve Krishna, then I have to understand how to serve Krishna. Right now, touch Krishna namari nabhavet grayamindriyai, sevan mukhehi jivado, swaymevis parachita. That, the certain thing that we have our sense, or let me translate that. We have materially designated senses, so we can't hear the Supreme or see the Supreme directly. So basically, we need to contact the Supremes. That means Krishna's Supreme. The Supreme used to be a musical group too. We need to contact the Supreme Lord's devotee, representative, who's in touch with Krishna, to tell us practically. I mean, certain things we know, like chanting Hare Krishna is very pleasing. But, as far as the details of the execution of devotional service, those are given to us by Krishna's representative. And we know that Krishna's representative is trying to please Krishna and becomes pleased when Krishna is pleased. So otherwise, we may not know what pleases Krishna at a particular time, place, and circumstance. We may think something pleases Krishna when it doesn't really please Krishna. So therefore, if we can please Krishna's representative, who will tell us, make it evident what is pleasing to him and what is not pleasing to him, then we're actually pleasing Krishna. It's a guarantee we're pleasing Krishna. Otherwise, we're doing something called a shot in the dark. A shot in the dark means you may not hit your target, unless you're like Arjuna. Arjuna could actually hit a target just by sound vibration, but we're not like that, so we need to see. I'm just using a metaphor here. We need to actually know for sure that what we're doing is pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna also says, one who says in the Adi Purana, one who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says is a devotee is my devotee is my devotee. So what pleases Krishna more than anything else is to please Krishna's devotee. That's another point. Because
so that's where compassion. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maharaj.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's the question?
No, I was going to say that's where compassion or humility come from then.
Yes, because normally we think we can just like serve Krishna directly, but actually Krishna doesn't want that. Krishna wants us to serve. He gives even in the Gita he says just trying to learn the truth. Tadvidi pranipatena patiprasnena sevaya. He says try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire submissively, and render service. And such a self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because you have seen the truth. So even in the beginning of the Gita, basically the beginning of the Gita, you have this instruction. But really, if you want to please Krishna, like Prabhupada said, if you want to please a man, you please his dog, basically. Or even a more down-to-earth type of example is that if you want to please someone, let's say someone has a child, and you say to them, what a nice child you have, what an intelligent child you have, then they'll be very pleased with you. I mean, if you say to them, that you like them, they'll be a little pleased. But if you say you like their child and you praise the child, then they get more pleased with you. Does that make sense?
Yes,
so,
Maharaj.
So the pure devotee is like Krishna's dear child. And if you please them, then Krishna will be obligated to be happy with you. He's obligated because he's a servant. Another point is, Krishna becomes controlled by a pure devotee. Krishna is controlled by someone like Srila Prabhupada. Certainly, Krishna is controlled by Srimati Radharani. That's one of the 26 qualities of Srimati Radharani, that she always keeps Krishna wrapped around her little finger. And so if you're pleasing Krishna's devotee, and Krishna's devotee works under the jurisdiction of Srimati Radharani, then Krishna, even if he wasn't inclined, then he'll have to be pleased with you. Or like Krishna says in the Gita, Bohanam Janma Namante Jnanavamam Prapajate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. He says, after many, many births, one comes to the right understanding of Krishna's particular position. But so one may think, after many births, that's a long time. But you can do it immediately by pleasing Krishna's devotees, like a shortcut
Mhm.
that one can take in Krishna consciousness. Okay?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hari Bol. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Hare
good question.
Krishna.
Haribol. So, who else has a question? Question or comment?
Gurudev, I have a question.
Yes, Rakesh.
A couple of days ago, you talked about from the impersonal Brahman, all the avatar of Krishna comes onto this earth.
No, not from the
So,
impersonal Brahman. I never said from the impersonal Brahman. The avatars of Krishna come to this earth. Generally, they come from the Shirodaksha Vishnu, but Krishna comes directly, but not from spirit. You know, the word Brahman can mean spirit. Krishna is Brahman, but he's not the impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the spirit. The word Brahman literally means the greatest. That was what I mentioned in class today. Okay, here's the term that I didn't specifically use. It's called Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka can mean the spiritual world, and it could also mean Lord Brahma's place in the material world, depending on the context. So we talk about Krishna. Krishna is Brahman in the sense he's the greatest. He's the source he's spiritual, and he's the source of the impersonal Brahman. So the word Brahman can indicate Krishna, can indicate the impersonal Brahman. It can indicate the greatest, like Lord Brahman, this universe, depending on the context. So Krishna and the avatars don't come from the impersonal Brahman. They come from the supreme Brahman, who is Krishna. Well, Krishna doesn't come from the supreme. He is the supreme Brahman, and the avatars all come from Krishna, who is the supreme Brahman, but not impersonal. He's the supreme Brahman, the supreme greatest.
then what it could be the word unmanifested Brahman, then it manifests from, does it come from
Well, yeah,
unmanifested Brahman?
Krishna is not manifest to us. Naham Prakasha Sarvasha Yogamaya Samavrita. Krishna is Brahman, the spirit. He's spiritual, and he doesn't manifest to us. Naham Prakasha Sarvasha Yogamaya Samavrita, because we're covered by the eternal deluding potency of Krishna. Yogamaya, which expands as the Mahamaya. It's all in terminology. I don't worry about it.
Yes.
Terminology depends upon context, and sometimes it gets very confusing. Very, very
Thank
confusing.
you. Thank you.
Okay, one other question someone has. We have another minute for more questions. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to clarify that Brahmaloka can refer, depending on the context, to Lord Brahma's abode, or it can refer to the spiritual world, or the local Vrindavan, depending on the context. Brahmaloka can mean the spiritual abode, planet, or it can mean the abode of Brahma, who is the head or the first demigod or first person within this universe. Okay. On that happy note, we're going to end, and tomorrow we'll probably have a review session. That'll be our Sunday Feast program, and I'll have to see if I put together a nice talk on that. Okay, all glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.